Hey guys, what's up? It's Shaq aka Mario Hockey 09 over here. And today we're going to talk about, we're going to review Game 3 of the Stanley Cup. I did watch the whole game, and first, let me tell you, it was insanity. From the second to the second and third period was just insane. The first period even looked like that Vancouver kind of had it. But the second and third period, I think Vancouver gave up after a little while. Alright, well, I'm sorry I'm not posting any videos today. I'm sorry I didn't do this earlier. But, I had finals and I had to study for finals, but tomorrow's the last day of school, so, you're going to see videos coming your way. Let's see. So the Stanley Cup, Game 3. It was pretty lopsided after a while. Let's see, the first matter of business was Rome. Rome, when he just destroyed Nathan Horton. Now, personally, I would have given him the misconduct, but I would have given him a 4-minute penalty. You know why? Well, that wasn't a blatant hit to the head. The new rule states that it was if it's a hit to the head, if you're in the blind side. He wasn't technically in the blind side. I admit what he did was terrible, and he should have gotten a misconduct, but I think only 4 minutes. One for roughing and one for interference. You needed that interference, but it was pretty crazy. And then the Bruins basically probably told themselves, listen here, we gotta step it up. Nathan Horton's in the hospital right now. We gotta destroy this guy. We just gotta take him to the cleaners. We gotta kill him. We've gotta just, find him. The funniest thing in the world was when who did it? Was when Lucic put his finger right up to Maxime Leperrier's mouth. Put it right up to his mouth. The biting incident. He put it right up to his mouth. That was hilarious. And he bit him. No, I'm just kidding. But so the first period there was no score. The other Thomas was overall very sharp in this game. Very sharp. He only let up one goal, and hey, what can you do? He won the game 8-1. So, it didn't really matter. Shutouts don't really matter as much in the playoffs unless it's a 1-0 game. Finale, but Boston's strength, I'd say, in the first period was their huge hits. They rocketed Vancouver after that Horton thing. Horton's fine. He will miss the entire Stanley Cup, the rest of the Stanley Cup. So will Rome. Just so you know. So there's no Sean Thornton hunting incidents going on there. Boston's strength was Vancouver's strength was capitalizing on turnovers. They capitalized a lot on Boston turnovers in the first, but that kind of shifted. The first goal was scored by Ferens. He had a good goal, and then the third goal was the craziest goal. That was a goal by Brad Marchand. Marchand's a good player. You don't really see him scoring that much. Mark Recchi again scored 2 goals. He's 43 years old, so you got to give it up to him. But that second period, you knew that Boston was going to dominate 4-0. I predicted a 4-2 game. It was 8-1. I was praying to myself. I was like, listen, let's hope it to be a 4-2 game. And then when they scored that 5th goal, I'm like, let's make it close, 5-2, and they scored Vancouver, and I was like, yeah. But yeah. Boston, though, you know what Boston's strength was in the game? Boston's strength was that they won the face-offs. They won a lot of the face-offs, especially on the penalty kill. That was huge, because it didn't really get Vancouver's power play going at all. Vancouver's power play was very lacking for the most part. Luongo also, they should have taken Luongo out after the 6th goal. It was just pretty bad. If you saw I let the last goal, it just went right through his legs. And I'm not blaming him, I'm blaming the team for not taking him out. They, of course, gave up after the 6th goal, probably after it was 6-2, they probably just gave up, saying, okay, Game 3. But as I said before, listen, Boston's not out of it. Boston is definitely not out of it. They can come back from 2-0 down. By the way, I said that the other team to come back from 2-0 down was the 78 Canadians. That's wrong. It was the 71 Canadians. Yeah. The reason why I know that is because it was Boston's first Stanley Cup home win since 1978. So that was that year that I thought, and I was like, wait a minute, Boston couldn't have been up 2-0, they lost in 6, But yeah, let's see, Marchand had a goal, Recchi had a pair of goals, Ferens had a goal, Paille had a goal, Canucks goal was scored by Rafael Torres. That was good. There was a lot of sloppy play, but I mean, I gotta tell you, it was a hit fest. It was a crazy, crazy, crazy hit fest. Guys were flying out of nowhere. Daniel Sedin got a 10-minute misconduct. This is an MVP candidate. 10-minute misconduct. This is where West meets East. And if you don't know this by now, you're not following the NHL. East hockey, except for maybe the Devils and the Thrashers and a couple Winnipeg, but a couple other teams like that, don't really play the hit like the Islanders, I guess. Don't really play hitting too much. But for most part, like a Philly or a Boston, they play like a very scrappy kind of enforcer type with the crazy goalies, and they do put in a team effort. They put in a lot of scrappy play. Where the West is more the finesse kind of guys with that kind of balanced goaltending system. Yeah. But Vancouver got a taste of the East. And, I know, you're probably like, okay, Shaq, listen, Boston's played Vancouver, twice already, but that was at home. Vancouver played at home. There's a difference. As I said, I did say that it's a huge difference playing at home, whether you're away, especially if it's a plane ride from Vancouver to Boston. That's a longer plane ride than a Vancouver to New Jersey, where I am. That's a longer plane ride by an hour or so, and the time difference too. I mean, you got to go up at 8 o'clock in the night and play. Maybe that might not have a difference, but it's still like a 6-hour plane ride. Don't get me wrong. Vancouver's very far west for a coastal province. It's a really far city west. But an 8-1 score, I couldn't believe it. I just generally couldn't believe it. It was just woo. It was insane. 8-1. The real score was 5-1. That was the real score. Then it just kind of got crazy after that. Well, yeah. Tim Thomas, I mean, he was just playing great, as I said. Luongo was playing average, but he kind of gave up on himself, and I don't blame him, as I said. Well, Boston had a great win. It was very lopsided from the second and third period standpoint. In fact, I think that Vancouver outshot Boston. In fact, and the Bruins, yeah. Oh, Michael Ryder had 2 goals, I think. No, Michael Ryder had a goal? Did I say if Ryder... No, Ryder had a goal. I thought I mentioned Ryder at the top of the show or whatever. But, Boston, this is a Game 3. This is a Stanley Cup where, things are like this are going to happen. I'm looking forward to Game 4. If Vancouver wins Game 4, it could have been luck of the Irish for Boston. It could have been something like that, and that's no pun intended because of the Celtics, but it could have been luck. It could have been big luck. I mean, if you look at the stats, I'd say the majority of the series is in 5 had the losing team win Game 3. It just happens to be that way. Maybe it's that transition from going away to home or going, I don't know, you're used to playing on the road. How would I know? But a lot of the Game 5 losses, a lot of the 5-game series have the losing team win Game 3, and if Boston wins Game 4, then I'd say Boston has this series in their hands where they want it. Remember, the series is tied. I remember the announcer saying that, well, Vancouver's just thinking to themselves, it's 5-1 or whatever. Vancouver's thinking to themselves, they're still up 2-0, and not anymore. If you lose Game 4, it's Boston's series for the taking. But if Vancouver continues to play like this, if Vancouver continues to lower itself to the level of the East, if you will, then I'd say they're screwed. They lose all 4 games. They lose the next 4 games. Actually, I actually say they win at Game 5, just because it's home. But I mean, if this series goes to 7, I don't have a prediction for you. If there's a Game 7, let's say there's a Game 6. Let's say there's a Game 6. I do my Stanley Cup review for Game 6. I don't know what to predict for Game 7, really. If there's a Game 7. I mean, it's insane. I mean, yeah. Alright, so, recap. 8-1 victory by Boston. I'm looking forward to Game 4. Let's talk about Game 4's preview. Game 4, I'd say that Vancouver has a lot to catch up to. What Boston has to do is they have to do what they're doing. They don't need to change anything. What Vancouver needs to do is they need to amp up their game. They need to go back to that Western style. They need to go back to that finesse style. Because when you start having Daniel Sedin with a misconduct like that, that's not that good. Having your, star player with the misconduct. There were multiple misconducts in the game. Game 4, though, I see a lot of energy. I see a lot of hits by Boston. I see a lot of Boston trying to invoke Vancouver to get that frustration, to make that silly mistakes. And I'd say that Boston is going to pull that off, but in a 3-1 fashion. Shout out to my friend UshG7 for his starting off his walkthrough of Minecraft. This is Mario Hockey 09. See you later.